right now. Keith and LaPlum sitting pretty on the winner's side here. Vortex and Himwy got to take 2 to steal this one away. Let's see if they can make it happen.
And Plum is already being so aggressive. Plum is initiating so often. Keith, though, gonna be getting everybody stacked on top of one another. Looking for the end light, backing off a little bit. Optimal punish on the recovery with the gauntlet recovery as well. I love Keith's ground pound because nobody could go under its punish. And then Plum was also safely on the stage to threaten anybody that would want to punish Keith for it.
Nice little follow-up there from Himwy. The GC side sig right there will not find its mark, though. Only going to do a little bit more damage. Still, no first strike happening just yet. As I say it, Himwy might be the first one to go. Has to recover back, but look at the coverage from Keith and Plum.
Eating that end light, Keith gonna be able to get that side as well. All of a sudden, Keith and Plum with a gentle lead. Keith, it is time to play back, but if you're all good, you have nothing to worry about anytime soon. Okay, Vortex is already sweating off stage.
Wow,
Plum
okay.
Going out there, and Himwy trying to get at least something through all their troubles, but Himwy not gonna be able to close it off. Himwy took a couple of hits. That was an amazing save from Keith. Oh my gosh.
I look forward to seeing that replay as a note for production. I know that that was already a cool stock, but I mean, the way that Keith was target swapping there onto the lands to find the ground pound and really make that stock happen against Vortex is phenomenal. As we speak, and when the dust settles, it is Plum and Vortex sitting on last stock. Himwy had a damage deficit up against Keith as well. Plum looking for a way to land right there. Himwy, a shark in the water, can't get too much damage though.
Keith able to get the recovery, but not onto the opponent that you would have expected. Okay, that is going to be Himwy's second stock gone. Vortex sitting on the last. Both of them sidelighted at the same exact time. Spring remains sharing the boosting for itself.
Unite. We all come together as one when the sidelight comes through. It's Himwy off stage right now. There's a reversal situation. Keith will finally fall to last. Do they find the 2v1 opportunity as Keith respawns in? I love that positioning from Plum, right? Just run to exactly where Keith is going to respawn so he can cover your bases when he finally gets actionable.
But Plum in a bit of a nasty position off stage. Keith! No!
Gotta save,
okay. That's right. That's good. Okay, you put Plum in that position. It is your responsibility to help them back out. And now we are back at a 2v1. The NSIG does not actually end up connecting. The NSIG does not connect again. Plum looking through the GC D-Light recovery, holding on to the D-SIG.
Hang on a second. Oh, Vortex playing so careful by the ledge right here. Plum and Keith just do not want to press a button yet, but they're just going to let Keith daintily take that first stock off the left side. And there is game 1 for Red on their path, just taking this in 3.
Yeah, that was quick. That was confident, even with a little bit of unfortunate friendly fighting for a little bit. Keith and Plum, they did a fantastic job following up off of each other. I mean, Plum was so scary. Plum was so aggressive when it came to the edge guard. There was that one stock where I was like, hey, you know Vortex is like in the yellow. I think Vortex is in the orange. I would like to see the stock graph. Oh yeah. Is there any chance that we could pull up the graph that shows how long each stock was on the field? Because I would really like to demonstrate the fact that, you know, Vortex's second stock, it disappeared. It was just immediately
short.
gone.
Yeah, very, very short-lived, absolutely. And again, I mean, I presented the question at the start of this set, right, Dara? Like the adjustments and changes that need to be made on Himwy and Vortex's side to be able to take this off of Keith and LaPlum, right? I'm not too sure. I mean, do you have any thoughts coming into this? We're going to look at the chart as well.
I feel like they're getting outplayed in a lot of small interactions, especially when it comes to landing, especially when it comes to disadvantage options. I don't feel like there is like one underlying thread of, oh, this is the reason why they are, you know, consistently not winning these games. So,
Sure.
But we will see how they end up adapting. And I remember the game that Himwy and Vortex won back in Winners Finals. They did play exceptionally well. They can still do that. They still have the potential to do that. It is not a complete guaranteed shutout.
Yeah, and I mean, once again, I bring up the kind of tiebreaker weapon of the cannon, right? Like, we really haven't seen the cannon player go to too much work just yet in terms of separating off a 1v1 and finding the correct dodge pattern from the evader, right? So it's hard. I mean, if Himwy can get one of those stocks like that, it can blow the door wide open to one of these games.
That's right. Plum at the moment gonna be looking for that sidelight. is going to be backing off onto the stage. Okay, huge. Look at the position that you have put your opponent in now. Keith going to be trying to follow up. That's going to be the recovery. Vortex, do you have the tools to make it back on? Weapon toss into the downer. That was an amazing reversal onto Plum, but then Keith with the side swing, with the baseball swing of the axe sider, closing out that stock. Amazing edge guard.
Covering
Look
the
at the
ledge
lead.
too. Keith is just relentless right here. And again, all credit to Plum for finding that second stock right there, and Keith just covering the tracks on the path to recovery. But this has just been a phenomenal start for Red. They definitely just want to win 3 and go home.
And Light, beautiful follow-up into the GC side sig. Amazing stuff from Vortex. Good positioning, and then able to clean up onto Plum as well. Blue team looking kind of nice.
They are. Keeping it close so far. Both players sitting in kind of medium damage in this position right here. Keith cannot find the opener to set up for Plum, getting any more damage right there. Oh, but just wants to get the stock outright on his own. That was just a pure 1v1 outplay while Plum was just playing outside, keeping Himwy out of the mix there.
Vortex making it back on, looking for the recovery, able to get the downer, being nice and patient when it comes to landing. Okay, Plum gonna be missing that end sig. Both blue team members stuck off stage for the second. Plum committing off stage with the ground pound. Now, look at them. They're stacked.
Okay.
That's it.
Could have been a two-piece combo right there, but they do pick up the stock on Plum. Himwy extending off stage. Plum is there to pick it up. That was a reach.
That was a reach, that was an overextension, and that was absolutely exploitable, so amazing reaction from Plum. Plum wanting to do it again. Plum with the GC side sig, chase dodging up as well. Does not need to go out there any deeper because Himwy is gone.
Oh my gosh, I feel like we've been singing the praises of Keith, but the way that Plum has just come to play in this game too has been unbelievable. Keith will find the last stock right there, but it is tournament point already for Keith and the Plum.
Yeah, those edge guards, they're so scary off stage, especially Plum's edge guard. Plum goes out there, Plum goes out there so deep. And I also really love the synergy and the positioning from Keith. Really simply put, wherever Plum or Keith may be, Plum or Keith, depending on, who their teammate is, they will be in the exact perfect position to cover their opponent. You have one person in the air, typically Plum pressing something like a GC side sig, looking for a GC D-light, and then you have somebody like Keith on the ground that might be falling down and ready to side as well. We're seeing Himwy switch off to the Terros. We're seeing Vortex switch off to the Bryn. We're seeing the double switch off. But the question is this going to be enough to help them out in the set?
They just might not have enough runway left here. It has to be a reverse 3-0 to stay in the tournament, and then a following set win after that to take it home. Keith and LaPlum sitting pretty right now. Lots of padding right here. They can afford to lose a game. They can afford to lose 2. But as long as they get 1, this tournament is over.
That's right. Keith, at the moment, just going to be holding on to the stage. And look at Plum's edge guarding again. This is what happens when one of them goes out there. The other teammate is ready to go ahead and help assist. The weapon toss forced the drift out. And then Keith was able to go out there and find the sider. That being said, I don't want to completely look away from what blue team is doing, because Himwy is connecting so many different hammer hits. D-light sider. Now, time for them to focus on Plum a little bit.
Right, okay, Vortex wants to try to cover center right there as Keith was off stage. Plum dodging through, looking for the ground pound right there, not going to get it. There it is right there. Vortex trying to recover back. Side air's not going to connect. Keith potentially going to fall out as well with the KO. He's unarmed right now. Can he find it? Himwy's looking for a big swing, and it's not going to get there. Keith still unarmed right there and loses the stock, finally.
And we're being nice and patient here, just holding on to the stage at the moment. Not sure that the replay was supposed to come in, but that's okay. Plum, how do we land? We're sweating. We're going on the way back down. Nice call out with the sider. Vortex and Himwy, both of them are swinging, but Keith somehow made it back on.
Yeah, I think Himwy just a little bit too slow right there. Pulled the trigger a tad earlier and you find that stock, but just like that, Keith and LaPlum maintain this lead right here. It's off stage where Plum's been so scary. There's the recovery off the wall, so Vortex finally loses their first stock. It's a slight lead for Red, but Plum could go at any second.
The recovery. That's going to be the sidelight chase dodge up as well. Ooh, Keith in a bit of a nasty position off stage.
If you can. We go Stomp's not going to connect into much. Keith gets to go to work now. Ground Pound is an overextension right there, sweating a little bit on the right side. Himwy has to find a weapon, gets one.
Yeah, Himwy just did not want to touch that at all, saw the width ground pound and said, you know what, I'm just going to prioritize getting myself back onto the stage. Keith, 2 stocks in hand at the moment, missing that N-Sig, leaving himself a vulnerable target for Himwy Cider. 2 axes. Oh, that is a nasty position for Plum to be in. Will blue team do it?
This could be the first little domino that just topples over and finds potentially a reverse Rio, but you still got to get one on the board. Keith is still a hard player to take down, and he's sitting at about medium percent, not wanting to give blue team either any member an opening right here. Vortex potentially going to fall down, has to target swap, of course.
Keith always immediately going for rock, always immediately going for the dash pump, ground pound, hits that end light, that's the stock. This is the time. This is the recovery.
Wait a second.
Keith, can you close Himwy out?
Now you're on the lands, though. A lot of end lag on this weapon. It could be a really dangerous position. Vortex looking for all of it with the GC, not going to get there. Himwy finds the pickup, and they're going to get one on the board. It's 2-1.
That Cider was a little bit too preemptive. Had Keith, I mean, you know, we can always, as casters, be like, oh, shoulda, woulda, coulda. Keith ideally would have sidered onto the side of the stage and not above it, because that is exactly where, you know, his teammate was ready with an axe and light. So really good call out there, really good catch on the landing, really good clutch from Himwy and Vortex, able to go ahead and clean up that game. But that was a chance. That was a very realistic chance for Keith to be able to make that one back.
Yeah, 100%. And what I almost find ironic as we load into game 4 now is Himwy was finding so many opportunities off of reading dodges, specifically off of Plum, but he no longer has the cannon available to him. So he does have to play with this different weapon spread here. It was working out fine for blue team to get this first game on the board. But once again, the situation remains the same. Keith and LaPlum can end the tournament right now in just a single game.
But look at that side sig, and Plum is going for it again with that GCN sig off the stage. Right now, be nice and patient. Himwy just patrolling, connecting so many downers over and over. Keith able to get the recovery. Himwy is sandwiched. So again, Keith keeps on going for the same ground pounds. They don't connect, but eventually, I'm sure one of them will.
Oh, great coverage there from Vortex. Himwy has to go disarm, though. He finds the weapon in time. That was amazing. Amazing look from Vortex to keep Himwy in the mix on this first stock right there. Keep them in this game.
Now, how, if you were red team, how do you close the stock on Himwy? And if you're blue team, how do you close the stock on Keith? The answer is Delight Cider, even on Ulgrim. That's Teros, baby. That is the amount of damage and knockback that he deals.
And that was Keith also swinging a little preemptively, right? Like, pretty easy punish for Himwy to find right there. Deep red damage, but I mean, again, can't find a stock. The dodge will come through. Himwy's hanging on.
Yeah, we're not seeing any KO confirms come out here onto Himwy. Himwy is still hanging onto the stock. You have Spear on hand. You want a recovery. You want a cider. You want a sidelight. That's still not going to be enough. Himwy keeps on hanging on.
Dar, why is Himwy playing forward? Look at Himwy's damage right there. We'll finally fall right there. Vortex sitting in red now, but the positioning was just so perplexing to me. He was jumping into both of them.
Keith, it is time to play back. It is time to avoid as much damage as possible. And Plum is looking for something nasty off stage. Wanted that neutral light. Vortex tragically going to be whipping that D-Light follow-up. That could have been so huge.
Okay, slow and steady. Let's see. Big damage off the right side. Keith will find his way back to stage rather safely. Plum doesn't even need to pick up the pieces here, but now it's both members of red looking to recover. Keith high, Plum low.
Nice, really good air dodge from Keith. They were able to avoid the falling neutral, picking up the axe, looking for the recovery, getting a little bit too close to Plum. Himwy landing back down with the downer, looking for the D-Light, looking for the cider, and Himwy just seems unthreatened until the N-Light N-Sig connects. That's exactly what you needed if you're red team. Next thing that you need, Plum cannot go out.
Okay, Keith goes. You do get the 2v1 right here. Plum is not at enough damage to find the KO off the top right there, and it's great patience to just not run into the fray and force that 1v2 situation. Keith is here to play a little bit of defense now. Plum is the target of choice. The scoop up will find its mark, and it's a 2v1.
It's summertime. Plum was ripe. That stock was rightfully taken, and all of a sudden, Keith now has to fight this 2v1. Behind in damage, Keith able to go ahead and just get hit by that D-Light cider. That's the Hammer Classic. That's the Stomp Sale. Again and again.
We are going to game 5. Vortex and Himwy really pulling out all the stops for these adjustments right here, and it started with that Legend swap in Game 3. Now they're on the precipice. I'm seeing a Legend swap from Red, Dara.
Yeah, I did not get to see what the Legend swap was. I missed it.
It's Plum Hattori.
Plum Hattori. Interesting. Okay. I'm trying to figure out why we are seeing the switch to Hattori. Hattori is an excellent character. Hattori has so much movement speed. Hattori is so fast and amazing burst range. And that Sword Ensig, I think about Hattori Sword Ensig in my nightmares. That move haunts me. So we'll see how the, switch off actually works for Plum here. Honestly, I still like the Wushang. I just felt like some of Plum's commitments were really aggressive.
Let's see, can Vortex and Himwy force the second set? They have worked so hard to make it to this Game 5. Or can Keith and LePlum shut it down right here?
Himwy looking for that sidelight. Okay, Keith at the moment gonna be stuck off stage. Again, Himwy just holding on to that ground pound because eventually somebody would jump into it.
Big swings from Himwy once again. You get the 2v1 quick piece onto Keith right there, and it is big damage. Look at Plum's damage bar already. Himwy, easy 1-2. The stomp side air is enough to do it. Gets the pickup as well. Not gonna get the stock though.
The Endlight Cider dodging past the ground pound though. Keith is still hanging on to this stock. Plum landing back down. Not able to pick up a weapon quite yet. That's going to be the Endlight coming out. Plum still going to be continuously denied of a weapon. Vortex a little bit too greedy off stage. Gets hit with that GC Endlight. And then, of course, Himwy keeps on cleaning up with that Stomp Cider.
The hammers have just been unbelievable from blue team so far. It's just so crazy. Night and day, the adjustments that have been made right now. It seems like Keith and Plum can't find their footing against this team comp.
Jumping back on with the side, punishing that ground pound. Plum was not able to find the neutral. Vortex. Uh-oh.
We gotta stop? Again? Okay, it looks like we're gonna reset for... Oh!
I think Vortex might have completely disconnected, question mark? Are they gonna fight?
I would
Are they
imagine,
gonna play
right?
this
No,
out?
I mean, like, that was just an SD off the side, right? You don't want to see that in Game 5, of course, but it looks like they're trying to figure out what happened here.
Well, I don't know. I don't think you know either, so we're waiting to figure out what's actually happening given what's going on. But I gotta say, right now, if you're Red Team, the problem is Himwy. Himwy is doing so much. Himwy is closing out so many stocks. Himwy is following up beautifully with hammer on hand. Himwy with the hammer is a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so many stocks. We've seen the easy one too, right? Stomp Sair. Just enough to find stocks outright. And even just like to alley-oop to your teammate, right? Like so many situations. I think when the hammer is online, Red Team was having a really hard time figuring out how to have any counterplay for it.
Well, we're waiting. We're waiting in a Game 5 of Grand Finals.
Yeah, this is so unfortunate, right? Like, you wonder what this could mean in terms of, like, momentum for Blue Team as well, right? Like, from a competitor's standpoint, you just clawed back 2 games in a row from down 2-0 against Keith and LePlum, and now to have your game stop right here, potentially because what we're thinking is Vortex might have completely DC'd due to that SD as well. Just a really, really rough position to be in. Hopefully it doesn't impact their mental too much.
Yeah, being in that position is not the best, so hopefully they're staying nice and locked in. Okay, they have all decided to start fighting each other all in sync. Parentheses, are they all in a Discord call with each other? Plum able to get the ground pound against Himwy. We talked about some momentum being potentially lost, and now Vortex at risk of being 2v1.
Yeah, rough position. I mean, Vortex lost a stock completely fresh after that weird mishap we ran into. With all that being said, they are still ahead right now. Plum and Keith have a lot of work to do now.
Okay, landing back down the neutral, unfortunately not hitting Himwy, but only Vortex, but I'm sure Plum's not complaining about that. The sidelight connects, but unfortunately you have to fully space out sidelight for it to convert into neutral. Otherwise, you gotta do the close hit of sidelight with axe into D-light.
The dodge once again is Himwy, and like you mentioned before, Dara, Himwy is a problem in this team composition.
Problem in like a good way. I would like to
Yes.
clarify, right? Himwy is a problem to the red team, relatively speaking.
He is
but
a fortunate
that being
problem
said,
for blue team to have. A real tricky one that you can't solve on the multiplication tables. But we'll see a healthy stock coming through for final game right here. Has to hang on to it. Vortex is going to be the target of choice if I am Keith and LaPlum. But again, that stomp Sair from Himwy has been lethal every time.
yeah, they're definitely not making it easy to do so, landing with the sider, and now Himwy is getting consistently whip punished. Vortex, okay, can you get the stock on Plum? That's a neutraler, but Plum coming back in with the recovery, eating a neutraler, and that is Telos taking Hattori off the top. That is going to be the downer. Ulgrim doesn't get knocked out anytime soon. Maybe he does get knocked out sometime soon.
Maybe he does
And
get knocked out sometime soon.
That's the reset. We have another set coming up. Is controlling space with the axe. Vortex is making it really difficult for people to land. A lot of D-lights, a lot of N-lights as well. And Himwy is the closer. Himwy is the one that is consistently dealing all of the damage for blue team.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and I mean, we said it multiple times. I mean, we can sing the praises of Stomp Sair until the cows come home, Dara, but I mean, it will remain to be a good tool, and it is coming to fruition right here. We are in game 1 of our second set. Can Himwy and Vortex maintain this momentum that they pulled from the elimination bracket, or are Keith and LaPlum going to pull it together?
Okay, Vortex able to connect that N-light. Keith able to find an N-light of their own. Vortex's side sig not going to be enough to KO quite yet. Keith landing back down, and that's not going to be enough either. Keith still hanging on their stock.
And we didn't even mention Keith swapping over to the Michelangelo ult there too, so fun stuff right here. They will find first strike, but both members of red in pretty deep red or approaching it. Gonna get the first stock onto Plum right there. Yeah, no resources to recover back, and all eyes are on Keith.
Keith looking for the recovery here, landing back down. Himwy now getting hit a couple of times, just trying to patrol the ground. Vortex finding a sider, just gonna be swatting them off stage.
Big damage, of course, will get the stock onto Keith. Advantage over to blue team. You mentioned it before, Dara. Vortex just hanging on to these stocks, being an enabler for Himwy to be able to get the closers.
Vortex getting juggled, using the weapon toss just to be able to carve the safe space on the way back down. Plum pressing a D-sig, but finding no target. And what a nasty angle on that axe ground pound. But Keith is not letting it go unpunished. Neither is Himwy. Himwy said, I am not going to let that slide. D-light sider, good damage, but not enough to take the stock.
The stocks are flying back and forth. Keith is off the left side right here. Neither member of blue wants to hard commit to it, knowing that Plum is rather healthy, sitting pretty on stage. They want to try to get this 2v1 with Plum on last stock, and maybe they'll be able to find one now. Here we go.
Sidelight into the downer as well. Himwy using the weapon toss. Oh my gosh, that could have been huge.
Well, like, look at Vortex playing outside, though. I mean, it's just allowing Himwy to just look for these easy follow-ups. There comes the run-up stomp. Not going to get too much. Vortex finds the stock. Last member of red. One stock apiece. A full stock advantage for both blue players is insane right now. What a momentum shift this has been.
Oh gosh, Keith being nice and careful, Keith being really, really patient when it comes to the landing, and then Himwy has an entirely different plan. Himwy does end up, oh no, Vortex, that was the wrong target.
It was. Himwy accidentally getting the KO onto his teammate makes this a last stock situation for all players. See, slow
Getting
and
back
steady.
down. Nice with punish on the neutraler with that N-light. Okay, everybody's exchanging hits. But right now, red team at a huge deficit. What a punish with
And
that
just like
sider.
that, it's
was
over.
incredible.
Himwy and Vortex taking first game right here. Like I said before, in first set, they fell down 0-2 and made the reverse 3-0 on top of a DC in game 5 to get the comeback and reset that bracket. Now for them to take first blood here in this second set is an insane statement.
So, again, I know I keep talking about Himwy. I know that I sound like a bit of a broken record at this point, but I cannot continue to state how much presence he has in terms of actually controlling the stage, stopping people from getting back on, really not getting, letting anybody get away with whipping an aerial. And I think
Looks
we're
like we
having
are
connection
resetting,
issues, or maybe just the wrong stage.
But yeah, I mean, tell me a little bit more about this momentum shift that you're seeing here, Dar. I mean, Himwy and Vortex, you talked about it earlier, right? Like, Vortex is doing such a good job at just kind of playing second to Himwy, allowing Himwy to do the things that Himwy does best, which is kind of find these conversions, find these stocks, and make these huge plays.
Yeah, so, you know, not to be that guy right now, and again, I want to make this very clear that this is a compliment to Himwy, but I'm also analyzing the situation. Himwy's switch to Telos was a good one. Himwy had to, all of a sudden, not really worry as much about actually finding a lot of KOs. The reality is, Himwy found every single D-Light that they wanted. Every single hammer D-Light that is to convert into a Cider. Whereas previously, we saw Keith stock tank like nobody else. We saw Keith hang on to these stocks for the daily life. Having a little bit of extra KO power is very nice. Okay, that is not a problem that Telos has at all.
100%. Let's see if they can keep this one going. It is a 1-game advantage for Himwy and Vortex. It looks like our lower third is incorrect right there. That should be 0-1 for blue team, for people just tuning in. But, I mean, I'll say it until the cows come home. This is a momentum shift at its finest here. Himwy and Vortex have really just picked up the pieces here and found what they need to make this match a successful one. Let's see if Keith and Plum can now make the adjustments here.
Okay, Keith. Able to get that recovery, not going to be enough to be able to take out Vortex's stock. Able to get the N-Light, able to get the N-Sig as well. Recovery, Vortex is playing excellent, but Plum able to get that juggle to completion. If there is something that Sword is able to do exceptionally well, that is juggle people into oblivion.
Yeah, and I mean, you can see it with the numbers on the screen right out the gate. This is the first time Red has had a lead since getting reverse 3-0'd in that first set. Keith and Plum, good adjustments so far. Can Vortex and Himwy tighten it up again?
Plum looking for a nice gentle way to be able to land back down. I cannot believe that Axe recovery is just that active, but I am happy that it is. Vortex cleaning that up with the jump into the ground pound.
Right, we're chilling out for just a second. Himwy looking for the opening. Keith is going to get the action started right here, but Vortex actually finds the dice up on both members of Red.
Sidelight neutraler, nice punish from Plum, able to get the recovery, using up all the resources on the way back down, and I don't think Plum meant to be off stage, sliding off with that side sig.
Watch, when you press a button, either member of blue could go out right here if they get whiff punished. So here comes Vortex on the landing. Himwy holding the ground space right now. Plum was looking for a GC into what looked like a side sig, if I'm not mistaken, but not going to get it. Off stage now, Keith potentially going to find that first stock.
And waiting for the punish with the neutral. Okay, Vortex's second stock is going to be gone. Red team has a bit of a lead. The N-Light does result in a KO as well. Red team has a lead for the first time in a while.
Recovery from Vortex isn't enough to KO Plum, but they're both getting damn close to getting there. Let's see. Again, recovery is just not enough damage right there. You do need to find it off of your teammate. Okay, there's the side sig. That's going to find one. Can they get a second? I don't think they want to overextend with Keith respawning on that right side right there because he can just run in on the fresh stock. Yeah, we do get one off the top, so it's even one stock across the board.
Keith is playing away. Keith is avoiding that 2v1 for dear life. Himwy, though, on the other hand, opting back to just focus onto Plum. Look at how much damage Plum has taken so quickly, and all of a sudden, Walt, we are back. We're so back.
We are so back. The chart has been scaling upwards this entire time for Keith and Plum to try to make their way back into this match. It could be the first game they've gotten in 4. Okay, weapon toss will cover for just a moment. Vortex looking to find the 1-2. Keith is now forced into the 2v1 situation, though. Make that a 1v1. Himwy could close this one out and make it a 2-0 game.
That's right, and oh gosh, but jumping into the N-Light almost gets the whip punish with the Cider, and then Keith is able to find a Cider of his own. Amazing stuff, incredible stuff. Red team has put themselves back in it. That is the first game in a good while that they have been able to secure for themselves.
Keith so clutch in that situation, right? I didn't catch the end of Plum's last stock, so we might get it on this replay right here. But just like that, Plum falls off, forces the 2v1 for Keith. But Keith is able to get this stock. Look, and he gets it so quickly before we transition to that final clip of the game. Right there, he can close that one out. Amazing stuff for Keith.
So, we're going to be seeing no switches on the board. Plum is just going to be opting for the Akuma crossover on the Val, so no significant changes at this moment. What happened that last game? Well, Keith did exceptionally well in that 1v1. They got a couple of early stocks on blue team. But yeah, that was the first time that I saw red team, you know, take a game in a little bit.
Yeah, once again, I do believe the score should be 1-1, if I'm not mistaken, because we did have that reset game earlier. But, I mean, with all that being said, Keith and LaPlum showing some signs of life here. I'm excited to see what comes from that. Himwy just misses the stage altogether to lose the first stock.
Yeah, that's tough. That's a little bit brutal. At the moment, Keith, though, oh my gosh, just barely avoiding the sider. I'd love that setup from Vortex, but alas, Himwy not able to follow up on it. Gets that end light. Plum gonna be knocked off stage. Vortex looking for the ground pound. Keith gets sent at the nastiest angle known to mankind. Eating a weapon toss. Vortex hanging on to the ground pound. Gets him the down air weapon toss. That was so clean.
All of that came off the back of Himwy so patiently waiting for the weapon spawn in center, and he just goes for weapon throw, allows Vortex to just play edgeguard for that stock. Beautiful stuff from Blue. Is it enough, though? There's another stock from Himwy. They take the lead right back.
Vortex slowly coming back on, able to get the delay, unfortunately catching Himwy and Keith both stacked on top of each other. Okay. Gets the recovery. Oh gosh, Plum is under so much pressure to be able to actually land here. Amazing whiff punish on Himwy's with D-Light. That's going to be the stock off the top. Plum has been juggling it exceptionally well today.
Oh yeah. Stomp into the scoop right there from Himwy isn't going to be enough to do it, but recovery 1 from Plum isn't going to do it either. Himwy starting to approach red damage right here, eyeing down Keith as a good target while he has no weapon.
Okay, Keith's gonna be looking for that side light right now. Able to get another side light as just a get off me option. Both red team members stuck off stage on the right. And we had the right idea with catching the cross up. It does not matter. I believe that's the Britain D-Sig coming out and able to take out Keith's stock. And Plum is gonna be soon to follow.
Double stock lead now for blue team. I mean, this is exactly how strong they were looking in that first set to make that reverse 3-0 happen. Vortex has just been putting in so much work in this team comp as well. Team combo for red, not going to amount to too much. Himwy has to hop his way back over to try to help his teammate, but he is at high damage right now. There's not a good opening for him.
He's just patrolling the ground. He's trying to make it as difficult for anybody to land as possible. The end light comes out, but that's Teros. His stocks are not going anywhere anytime soon. Amazing catch. Plum was sweating, and Himwy just had to position himself, catch the drift. Amazing reverse D-Light, but okay. The recovery from Vortex doesn't connect. Keith's recovery does connect. It's not enough to be able to KO.
Wow, that one was, though. It looked like Himwy was going to be able to jump back, but I wonder if he just conceded that stock. Here we go, though. One stock across the board right here. Plum is looking mighty juicy, coming through with about red damage now. Right now, yes.
That's the recovery. Keith and Plum, both of them simultaneously being juggled there for a second. Plum, okay, no whip punish through, but what an amazing call out from Himwy. Wow.
2v1 right here for Keith, unarmed as well. This is dangerous for Himwy, and they know it. Game 3 over to blue team.
Okay, wow. Amazing job from Vortex and Himwy. Given the previous game, I thought that this was going to be all red team back at it. But I feel like the biggest thing that I am enjoying about blue team's gameplay is they're just actually calling out options from Keith and Plum. Specifically, I'm looking at Himwy, and I'm looking at the amount of preemptive jump forwarders, or jump siders. Oh my gosh, because of casting. hear that. I said forwarded. The preemptive jump sider is to be able to call out people's jumps. Himwy has been doing a really good job of reading those pretty consistently. He's not necessarily always just setting up into sider with stomp on hammer, be it with axe or with hammer. He is catching those jumps really well. So going into this next game now, Keith and Plum, they still have a couple of adjustments to make. I feel like Plum is able to get a couple of those juggles, but not so many KOs off the top anymore. And then something that I thought was like the X factor for Plum was Plum's edge guarding. Plum, before, we saw the amount of stocks, we saw how aggressive he was off stage, especially with gauntlets in hand. We're not seeing that come into play as much now.
Yeah, shutting down Plum, I feel like, has been so huge. I mean, co-signed on everything that you just said as we go into Game 4 right here. Himwy and Vortex, that one switch to Taros has made all the difference, it seems. And it looks like Keith and Plum are going to keep swapping over, at the very least, character skins, but I think this is a legend swap as well.
Oh my gosh, Himwy though, going down and around, able to go ahead and make it back onto the stage. Nice and safe nonetheless. Backing off a little bit here. Plum, okay, landing with the neutral chase stop.
What? Huh?
Was that supposed to be a dash landing?
I would
Well,
venture
maybe
to
Plum
say
did
that,
not
yeah.
think that they had that little options left.
I mean,
Okay,
that is a
well-
rough way to start it. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you don't want to fall down early, especially when blue team just needs a single game to close this one out. And I mean, again, you talk about the momentum shifts of this game. Keith and Plum were one game away from just taking this bracket outright on the winner's side. And now they're fighting for their lives to just stay in it.
Yeah, and this is the team that they did knock out into elimination side to begin with. That's the Stomp Sider. That is the Taros Classic, the tried and true. And look at the position that Plum is in off stage. Jumping back on, though, Keith, with incredible coverage, able to find the Sider.
Yeah, Vortex a little bit overextended right there, as Himwy will fall off the left side as well. So we go even now to 2, but just like that, I mean, Plum's on last stock.
Okay, finds a Sider. Backing off a little bit here. Keith and Himwy had some crazy neutral just now. That was the most non-committal footsies I've ever seen.
Yeah, and I mean, Himwy has just been so consistent at finding these D-Light side airs every single time. They've been so good. Looking for the edge guard right there. Not going to get too much. I mean, Himwy fighting for his life, out of resources.
Himwy, yeah, not able to make it back onto the stage. Vortex now fighting for the life to be able to keep themselves in it, but able to get the recovery. Still finds the GCD light sider, but oh my god, Plum taking Vortex off the top.
This is very doable, Dara. And I mean, the elephant in the room that I haven't even mentioned yet is if Keith and Plum take this, we could go to a game 10 for Grand Finals of Southeast Asia for Summer Doubles, which is insane to think about. It just takes one stock to really open the door right here. The first one to fall is going to make a huge impact. Off stage now.
Plum
Let's go.
and Keith, both of them on the right side of the stage. Himwy looking again for those preemptive jump callouts, and Keith is opting to play a little bit more onto the stage itself. Vortex finds the recovery, not enough to be able to take the stock off the top.
This might be the tournament, Dara. Yeah, Plum has nowhere to go, and that's the end of the Southeast Asia bracket for Summer Doubles. Himwy and Vortex, after clawing their way back, a reverse 3-0 to take the first set. They take this one 3-1, reversing that set that made them lose in the winner's bracket in the first place. What an incredible showing.
That's good. Himwy and Vortex, they made an amazing job.